The old man entered the luxurious hotel. His walk was slow but firm. Although his clothes were simple and his appearance modest, his eyes held a story of years of hard work and sacrifice. That man, with gray hair and a barely visible smile, walked through the hallways that he himself had designed decades ago. His presence went unnoticed, but for him, every corner of the place was special. This hotel was his life, his greatest achievement. However, that day something was going to change, and not exactly for the better. He had barely taken a few steps into the lobby when a young manager, newly hired, saw him from the other side of the room. The manager, a man in an impeccable suit and an arrogant attitude, quickly approached the old man. With an expression of disgust, he looked him up and down and, without hiding his disdain, said in a tone that everyone around could hear, "Sir, this is not a place to wander around without reason. Do you think you can just walk in here?" The old man, surprised but calm, tried to explain that he was just passing through and wanted to look around. However, the new manager interrupted him, raising his voice so that everyone in the lobby could hear. "Please, we don't need vagrants here. This is a prestigious hotel, not a shelter for anyone who wants to come in and look around." The employees and some guests turned to look at the scene, whispering and murmuring at the unexpected situation. Some looked at the old man with pity. Others moved away uncomfortably. No one had any idea who he really was, and the old man, instead of getting upset, just watched in silence. Inside him, something began to burn. He knew that, at some point, he might reveal his true identity. But it wasn't the time. Not yet. The young manager's arrogance knew no bounds. Seeing that the old man wasn't leaving, he grabbed him by the arm tightly and dragged him towards the entrance. The old man tried to stand firm, but his years were weighing him down, and the young man pushed him out with contempt. "Don't ever set foot in this hotel again. You're not welcome here," said the manager, with a sarcastic smile. The old man, instead of answering, simply gave him a calm look, as if he already had a plan. As soon as he crossed the exit door, a slight smile appeared on his lips. The game was just beginning. That same night, the manager received an unexpected call from the board of directors. Apparently, the hotel owner was going to make a surprise visit the next day, and they wanted everything to be impeccable. The manager, confused, rushed to organize every detail, imagining how he would impress the owner with his excellent work. What he didn't know was that the next day he would not only receive a visit, but a lesson he would never forget. The following day arrived with an unusual air of tension in the hotel. Every staff member was on their toes, anxiously preparing for the arrival of the mysterious hotel owner, whom many had only heard stories about. Rumors circulated. Some claimed he was a cold and distant businessman. Others insisted he was a shrewd man who observed everything quietly. The new manager was no exception to the anticipation, pacing the lobby with a confident smile, convinced that his impeccable performance would impress whoever was about to arrive. Around midday, the manager noticed a familiar figure stepping through the hotel's grand entrance. The elderly man from the previous day was back, dressed in the same modest attire, walking with a calm dignity that contrasted sharply with the bustling surroundings. Annoyed, the manager immediately approached him, his face flushed with irritation. "I thought I made myself clear yesterday," he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "I don't know what brings you back here, but you have no business in this hotel." But just as the manager reached to escort him out once again, he felt a firm hand on his shoulder. Startled, he turned to see several members of the board standing behind him, their expressions grave. "That's enough," one of them said, his tone cold. "This man you're addressing so disrespectfully is the owner of this hotel." The color drained from the manager's face. He stumbled backward, eyes wide in shock, as the elderly man met his gaze with a steady, almost amused expression. The room had fallen into silence as other staff members gathered, whispering in disbelief. The new manager's arrogance crumbled instantly, replaced by a look of pure terror. He struggled to find words, his voice barely a whisper. "Sir, I didn't know." The elderly man raised a hand, silencing him. "You didn't know because you never bothered to ask. You judged me by my appearance, without a second thought. And worse, you humiliated me. Not once but twice." The manager's face flushed with shame, but the older man was far from done. In a calm yet powerful voice, he began to speak, his words reverberating through the lobby. This hotel was built on respect and humility. Every corner, every brick, every piece of furniture was chosen with care and love, not just for profit. I created this place to welcome people, not to judge them by their appearance or their wealth. And yet, in a single day, you managed to disgrace everything this hotel stands for. By now, a crowd of employees and guests had gathered, hanging onto every word. The elderly owner looked around, his gaze softening as he met the eyes of his loyal staff, who were now watching with admiration. Turning back to the manager, he said, "This establishment is not just a business. It's a legacy, and it demands a leader who understands that legacy, who respects every person who walks through its doors, regardless of their attire or background." With a final look, the elderly man took a deep breath. "You have no place here. Consider this your last day." The manager, red-faced and humiliated, could do nothing but nod, his dreams of a successful career in shambles. He stammered an apology, but the elderly owner simply turned away, not sparing him another glance. As he walked across the lobby, the staff parted respectfully, nodding in silent reverence. Yet, just as he was about to disappear down the corridor, he paused and looked back at his employees. "This hotel deserves people who understand its heart, and each of you," he said, addressing the staff, "makes this place what it is. Thank you for standing by its values. I may not always be here, but know that I trust you to keep its spirit alive." As the crowd watched him leave, whispers of admiration filled the air. The story of the humble owner who taught a powerful lesson had only just begun to circulate, and everyone knew this was a tale they would remember for years. Yet, deep down, they sensed there was more to this man's story, something hidden beneath his calm exterior, waiting to be unveiled. The hours that followed were filled with an electric tension that permeated every corner of the hotel. The now former manager had slunk away, his presence nothing more than a ghostly memory to those who had witnessed his downfall. But whispers lingered among the staff and guests alike. No one could quite shake the impact of what they had seen, nor the words the elderly owner had spoken. In the manager's absence, the employees felt an unexpected surge of pride and purpose. The owner's speech had awakened a sense of unity and respect within the team, reminding each of them why they had chosen to work at this hotel in the first place. But beneath that renewed vigor was a quiet anticipation, a feeling that something even more profound was about to unfold. Just as the clock struck the next hour, a rumor began circulating that the owner would be holding a private meeting with the hotel's key staff members. Curious, but respectful, they gathered in a secluded meeting room, exchanging glances as they waited for the mysterious man to arrive. When he finally entered, the room fell silent. He moved with a calm grace, his presence commanding yet gentle. Taking a seat at the head of the table, he looked around, his gaze meeting each set of eyes with a warmth that felt almost paternal. "I know many of you have questions," he began, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "Questions about why I chose to reveal myself in such a way, and perhaps why I allowed myself to be treated like a stranger in my own hotel." The staff listened, captivated by his words. The elderly man took a deep breath, and, as if peeling back layers of his own history, he began to share his story. "When I was a young man," he continued, his voice softening, "this hotel was little more than a dream, a vision of a place that could be a haven for travelers, a place where everyone, regardless of their background, could find peace and respect. I built it with my own hands, brick by brick, saving every penny I earned. It became my life's work, my pride, and my joy. A few employees nodded, clearly moved, and some even leaned forward, caught up in the owner's story. But over the years, he went on, as the hotel grew, I found myself distancing from it. Business and expansion took me away from these halls, and with time, I became just a name on a piece of paper, a distant figure who hardly visited. He paused, looking down for a moment, as if wrestling with an unspoken regret. This visit was meant to be my return to what I had built. I wanted to see with my own eyes if the hotel still held the values I instilled in it. So, I came as a simple man, without pretense or announcement, to witness how we treat others, not just our wealthy guests, but every person who walks through these doors. The room remained silent, the weight of his words pressing down on each person present. The owner's gaze lifted, his eyes shining with a quiet determination. "What I found," he said, his voice filled with a fierce conviction, "was that some of us had forgotten. We forgot that every visitor is deserving of respect, and that no one, regardless of appearance, should ever feel unwelcome here." One of the senior staff members, her voice trembling slightly, spoke up. "We're sorry, sir. We failed to protect what you built." The owner shook his head, a gentle smile gracing his features. "It's not about apologies. It's about growth. From this moment forward, I want each of you to remember why we are here. I will be here more often, and together, we will rebuild the heart of this place." The meeting concluded with a sense of renewal, a commitment to honoring the hotel's legacy. As the elderly owner stood up, he invited everyone to join him for a walk around the premises, intending to observe, guide, and share his vision anew. The staff followed, inspired by the strength of the man who had once been a stranger in his own creation, and now stood as its beating heart once again. Yet, as they walked through the grand halls, the staff couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, that the elderly man had more wisdom, more stories, and perhaps even more secrets waiting to be revealed. The following days brought a transformation that echoed through every corner of the hotel. Word of the owner's unexpected return and the dramatic departure of the arrogant manager had spread like wildfire. Staff members who hadn't even witnessed the incident felt as if they had, thanks to the vivid retelling by those who had been present. Guests whispered among themselves, and even some frequent patrons began asking the front desk, "Is it true the owner is back?" The elderly man, now known by his first name, Mr. Harrison, became an almost mythical figure within the hotel. He moved about quietly, dressed in his usual simple attire, observing each detail with a discerning eye that missed nothing. He would stop to chat with housekeeping, ask the kitchen staff about their work, and even help the bellhops carry luggage when he saw them struggling. Every interaction, every small gesture was deliberate, leaving a lasting impression on each person he spoke to. To the younger staff, he became a mentor, sharing bits of wisdom from his years in the industry, teaching them not just about hospitality, but about life itself. One afternoon, Mr. Harrison gathered the senior staff for a more intimate meeting. This time, he spoke not of the hotel's values, but of the future. He confided in them his deepest concern. He was getting older, and though he loved the hotel dearly, he knew he couldn't stay forever. The words hung in the air like a bittersweet farewell, but he quickly followed with a spark of hope. "This hotel will one day be in new hands," he said, his voice carrying a strength that seemed to defy his age. "And I want those hands to belong to people who understand its soul, who love it as I do." The staff, moved by his words, felt a renewed sense of purpose. They realized they weren't merely employees. They were the future guardians of something far greater than a business. They were stewards of a legacy. But Mr. Harrison was not done surprising them. In the following days, he revealed plans for a major renovation, something he had been quietly preparing for years. This renovation, he explained, was not just about updating the hotel's appearance, but about restoring its original charm. He wanted to bring back certain elements he had designed himself, details that had been lost over time as new management teams had made changes he hadn't authorized. As the renovations began, Mr. Harrison invited the staff to participate in the process. He asked each department head to contribute ideas, to suggest ways in which the hotel could be improved while maintaining its essence. It was an unprecedented move. Never before had the hotel's owner involved the staff so deeply in such decisions. But to Mr. Harrison, they weren't just staff, they were family. Throughout the renovations, he became even more involved, guiding the workers as they restored original woodwork, revitalized the gardens, and recreated the welcoming ambience he had envisioned from the start. He spent hours with the landscape designers, bringing back old pathways that had once led to hidden alcoves and intimate seating areas, spaces where guests could enjoy a quiet moment amidst the hotel's luxurious grounds. One evening, as the renovations neared completion, Mr. Harrison hosted a gathering for the entire hotel staff. It was a modest affair, held in the grand ballroom that had been restored to its original splendor. Chandeliers sparkled overhead, and the walls gleamed with fresh paint. But there was a warmth in the room that went beyond the physical beauty. It was a warmth that came from the sense of unity that Mr. Harrison had instilled in everyone. As he stood to address the gathering, a hush fell over the room. His voice, though softened by age, carried a power that captivated every person present. "This hotel has been my life's work," he began, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. "And each of you has become a part of its story. I may have built these walls, but you, each of you, have filled them with memories, laughter, and hard work. You are the heartbeat of this place." He paused, his eyes shining with gratitude. "I want you all to know that this hotel is not just mine. It is ours. I entrust it to you, to protect, to nurture, and to cherish, just as I have." The staff erupted into applause, some with tears in their eyes, as the significance of his words sank in. For them, this wasn't just a job. It was a calling, a shared purpose that had been reignited by Mr. Harrison's humility and vision. However, just as they thought the night had reached its emotional peak, Mr. Harrison revealed yet another surprise. Reaching into his pocket, he produced a small, ornate key. He held it up, and the room fell silent once more. "This key," he said, his voice steady, "unlocks a room that has been closed for many years. It's a special place, one that I hope you will all come to appreciate as much as I do. I invite each of you in time to discover it for yourselves." Intrigued, the staff exchanged curious glances. What could this mysterious room hold? The key became a symbol of intrigue, sparking rumors and whispers among the staff. Some believed it led to Mr. Harrison's private quarters, while others speculated it was a secret room filled with treasures from the hotel's early days. In the days that followed, each staff member, one by one, was invited to visit the room. When they entered, they found themselves in a small, cozy space filled with photographs, memorabilia, and handwritten letters. It was a hidden sanctuary, a tribute to the hotel's history and the people who had made it what it was. On the walls were pictures of past staff, guests, and even a young Mr. Harrison, smiling with the same warmth he had shown them. The room was more than just a place. It was a reminder of the legacy they were a part of, a legacy they now held in their hands. From that day on, the hotel wasn't just a place to work. It was a living testament to Mr. Harrison's values, a place where every staff member, from the housekeepers to the managers, felt they belonged to something extraordinary. And as Mr. Harrison continued to visit, though less frequently, he knew he had succeeded. The hotel, with its restored beauty and strengthened spirit, was ready to stand the test of time, held together not by walls and bricks, but by the hearts of those who loved it. Months passed, and Mr. Harrison's influence continued to breathe new life into the hotel. The renovations had transformed it into a place that felt both grand and intimate, a rare balance that captivated every guest who walked through its doors. Each staff member took pride in their role, knowing that they weren't just employees. They were stewards of a dream. The hotel flourished, gaining a reputation for its elegance and warmth, with a staff that treated every guest like family. Yet, as time went on, Mr. Harrison's visits became less frequent. He would still walk the halls occasionally, nodding warmly to each familiar face, but there was a quiet understanding among the staff. Their beloved owner was preparing to step back, trusting them fully to carry on his legacy. And indeed, Mr. Harrison, though physically present less often, was still there in spirit, woven into every brick and beam. One day, he gathered the staff once more, this time for a farewell that felt as natural as it was bittersweet. Standing before them in the grand ballroom, his posture straight, but his eyes filled with emotion, he spoke from his heart. "My friends," he began, his voice softer but still strong, "I am not leaving because I am tired, nor because I no longer care. Quite the opposite. I leave because I trust you. I have seen how each of you has embraced this place with a devotion I could never have anticipated. You have made it your own, and for that, I am eternally grateful." He paused, looking at each person, as if committing their faces to memory. "This hotel is more than a building," he continued, a gentle smile crossing his lips. "It is a home for those who seek refuge, a sanctuary for those who need peace, and a place where each of you has left a piece of your heart. I may have built it, but you, each of you, have made it come alive." The room was silent, but the air was thick with emotion. Some of the younger staff members wiped away tears, others nodded, knowing the weight of his words. Mr. Harrison had given them not only a job but a purpose, and they felt honored to carry it forward. As the speech concluded, he held up the symbolic key one last time, offering it to the head concierge, a woman who had been with the hotel since her youth and who now had the wisdom and grace that he trusted to lead them all. "Keep this key safe," he told her, his voice steady. "It is not just a key to a room, but a key to our past. Share its meaning with those who will carry our values forward. Let them see what we have built together." The concierge accepted the key with trembling hands, her eyes full of respect and admiration. The room erupted into applause, a sound that echoed through the grand hall, mingling with the faint memories of years gone by. After that day, Mr. Harrison was seldom seen, but the hotel continued to thrive, upheld by the love and dedication of each staff member. They would often tell stories of the humble old man who had taught them the true meaning of hospitality, sharing tales of his kindness with new hires, ensuring his spirit remained ever present within the hotel walls. The years passed, and the hotel grew into a legacy that few could rival. Guests would arrive and leave, but they always remembered the warmth, the sense of belonging, and the gentle whispers of a history that lingered in every corner. And so, the hotel stood, proud and timeless, a beacon of kindness and respect, built not just from bricks, but from the love of a man who believed in the power of humility and the strength of unity. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more tales that celebrate the beauty of humanity and the power of resilience. What do you think? Would you work in a place with such a profound history and values, knowing its walls hold memories of kindness and respect? Let us know in the comments.